Okay, good evening, and let me wish everyone, on behalf of the entire commission, a very healthy and happy new year, and all the blessings that all of you are entitled to this year. I look forward to working with you. Let me call the meeting to order and ask the clerk for roll call.
Mayor Weissman,
Here.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Here.
Commissioner Landman,
Here.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Here.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Here.
Commissioner Shelley, Commissioner Weinberg,
Here.
Mr. Wasson, Mr. Wolfen.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Is Margot Jolie here? Margot, would you come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Now, remember, she didn't rehearse.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all.
Mr. Wasson, are there any deletions or emergency additions to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
Thank you so much. At this point, we will have our special presentations, our community service awards, and I'm going to ask our city manager, Ron Wasson, to please make the presentations.
If I could ask Kimberly Merchant to join me. The special service award today that we're giving out is to Kimberly Merchant. I probably don't have to introduce her, but she's our community services director. And this is her 10th year, her 10th anniversary. I've only been here a short time myself, but I have to tell you, she's a very energetic person that keeps me on my toes. She's always has a lot of ideas, and she's not afraid to share them with me. And it's really great to know that we have somebody of her caliber leading the charge when it comes to our parks and recreation. That's really like a calling. It's not even like a job. You really have to love what you do, and it's really obvious. So I'd like to present you with this. And if you want to say something quick.
You mean not by quick?
Take as long as you want.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure to serve all of you for 10 years, and I hope to keep doing it for 10 plus years more. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is our school reports. And I'm sorry, Margot, you're going to have to come back up again. Margot Jolie is going to provide us the update from ACES. Yeah, pull it down so you can, yeah. Promise it won't bite.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Margot Jolly. I am an 8th grade student at ACES. This year I have the honor of serving as parliamentarian of our Natural Juniors Honor Society, and it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. We have just returned from winter break, but everyone is ready to work hard as we wrap up the second quarter next week. November and December are very busy months for us at ACES. Our students continue the tradition of giving back to the community throughout the holiday season. Through our annual Thanksgiving food drive, we are able to donate food to needy families around South Florida community, including the new partnership with North Miami Beach Senior High, thanks to the Aventura Marketing Council. Students and families also give generously during the annual toy drive, where over 500 toys were collected and donated to Big Mama's Team of Life charity. The annual Jump Rope for Heart drive also took place in December, and in true ACES fashion, our families far surpassed our goal, donating over $10,000 to the American Heart Association. Character lessons are being delivered several times each month as part of our Upstander program. To To begin the year, we focused on building compassion. Recently, we've learned about practicing self-control. We reflected on the lessons we've received on both traits as we made our New Year's resolutions. And we'll move to the important skills of perseverance this month. Students enjoyed several opportunities to learn on the content-based field trips with our 4th grade students, seeing their social studies lessons come to life on an overnight trip to St. Augustine. 5th grade students enjoyed science-related activities when they spent the day at Johanna Dixon State Park. The Winter Showcase was beautiful this year, with students from grade 1 through 8 dancing and singing in 3 different shows. Many elements of our school played a part in making this event a great success, including our shop students who build stage props, digital communication students who record the performances, and staff members from all grade levels sponsoring groups. It was a true team effort. As always, ACES has a lot of great things going on, with many more to come. We encourage the community to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to learn more. I appreciate the opportunity to share a few highlights from our school. Thanks on behalf of ACES, where excellence is the expectation, not the exception. Have a great evening.
Marco, thank you so much. Our students are absolutely the best part of every single commission meeting, and you were absolutely outstanding, sweetheart. The next report from Michael Kropp Senior High is Ariel Hartsey and Olivia Gottlieb.
Good afternoon.
Hi,
I'm Olivia Gottlieb.
and I'm Ariel Hartsey.
We're both in 12th grade at Kropp.
So we have a few things to discuss today. We've had a lot of colleges.
Make it comfortable.
Thank you.
Make it comfortable.
We've had a lot of college acceptances from early decision. So we have Washington University, University of Michigan, Northwestern, Duke, University of Chicago, Cornell University, and Tulane University. And last, University of Pennsylvania, which Olivia got accepted into and is going. Also, we've had one of our very own Kropp students published in a research journal. That is also Olivia, and she's going to explain a little bit about her research project.
So the research I conducted at school with a teacher in our school, and I've been conducting the research for the past 2 years, and I wrote the research paper and it got published in Harvard University's Journal of Emerging Investigators, which is basically a platform that they have for students to publish their research, and it's read, reviewed, and edited by Harvard graduate students. And so we have a couple other students in our school who've also been published in that journal. Just my publication was the most recent.
So, in the arts, our Magnet Theater students earned 10 superior ratings at the districts and 8 thespian competitions in December.
Also, our NJROTC Lightning Battalion drill team placed first in 7 categories at their most recent district competition, earning their way to states in March.
So, as we mentioned earlier, we now have 3 Coca-Cola semifinalists. That's more than any other school in Miami-Dade County, including public, private, and charter.
And then finally, all of our winter sports teams now have winning records, so that includes boys and girls soccer and boys and girls basketball.
That's all. Thank you.
Great. I'm glad you're taking full advantage of your last years in high school. The next order of business is our consent agenda. And I'm going to ask if any member of the commission would like to remove an item from the consent agenda. Okay, prior to that, we do have something else going on in this building. The police department is having a security symposium downstairs. If any of you are in here by mistake and meant to go to downstairs into the police department, please feel free to get up and go now. No? Okay. City clerk. All right. Then I'm going to ask for a motion for approval of the items on the consent agenda.
Moved.
Moved by? I wasn't, moved by Commissioner Weinberg, seconded by Commissioner Narotsky. Can I ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you so much. We're next moving into our zoning hearings, which are quasi-judicial public hearings, and I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the procedures for the quasi-judicial hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, under the quasi-judicial portion, which you referenced, we have three items, items 6A, B, and C. The city clerk will swear in any persons who desire to offer testimony on any of those three public hearing items. The quasi-judicial procedures of the city are applicable and will govern these proceedings. At this time, I'd like to ask, Mayor, with your indulgence, like to ask the city clerk to swear in any persons who desire to offer testimony on items 6A, B, and C, and after that, I'll read the first item.
Anybody wishing to be sworn in, and that means that you're going to speak before us, please get up now. Please rise. Thank you.
I need you to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item, item 6A, resolution public hearing. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting conditional use approval to allow the sale and service of alcoholic beverages at indoor and outdoor bar lounge areas within International Smoke Restaurant located in tenant space number 946 of the Aventura Mall expansion at 19565 Biscayne Boulevard, City of Aventura, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of the resolution made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Landman? I'm going to ask Ms. Carr to please present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record. The applicant, MG 19501 Biscayne LLC, doing business as International Smoke Restaurant, is requesting conditional use approval to sell and serve alcoholic beverages at indoor and outdoor bar lounge areas within the restaurant located in space 946 of the Aventura Mall expansion at 19565 Biscayne Boulevard. Staff is recommending approval of this application with conditions. And here's our location plan in the Aventura Mall. Specifically in the Aventura Mall expansion, it's on the ground level by the slide structure underneath the Tap 42 restaurant. This is the floor plan of the restaurant, the indoor bar, and the outdoor patio bar. The restaurant will have 5,816 square feet of indoor area and 1,316 square feet of outdoor patio area. There are 120 interior seats. The applicant will be applying for a 4 COP SRS liquor license from the state. This license provides that at least 51% of the revenue be derived from the sale of food and non-alcoholic beverages, that it may not operate as a package store, that it may not sell intoxicating beverages after the hours of food service, and that it may not be moved to a new location. Chapter 4 of the City Code regulates the sale and service of alcoholic beverages. This chapter provides that unless approved as a conditional use, no premises shall be used for the sale of alcoholic beverages unless it is located at least 1,500 feet from a place of business with an existing liquor license and 2,500 feet from a religious facility or school. This chapter provides for exceptions to this distance requirement, and the restaurant meets that exception condition. However, conditional use is required for the indoor and outdoor bar lounge areas because it does not meet the exception criteria for the number of seats, which is 200, and this restaurant has 120. The applicant has submitted a liquor survey to show spacing and distance to other non-exempt establishments. It shows that there are 9 existing establishments with a liquor license within that 1,500 feet, and 1 religious facility and 1 school within 2,500 feet. Staff has evaluated the application using the criteria for approval of conditional uses in Section 3173C of the City Code and finds that it does meet those criteria. Staff is therefore recommending approval of the application with the following conditions: that this approval is granted exclusively to MG 19501 Biscayne LLC, doing business as International Smoke, in tenant space 946 in the Aventura Mall expansion, and may not be transferred to another owner and/or operator of the restaurant or to another location. Alcoholic beverages may be sold and served only in conjunction with the sale of food. Customers will not be permitted to remove an individual glass of alcoholic beverage or any open container from the restaurant. The applicant shall obtain an alcoholic beverage license from the state of Florida and begin sales and service of alcoholic beverages within 12 months of the date of the resolution, or the approvals granted shall be deemed null and void unless extended by a motion of the City Commission at the written request of the applicant, provided that the applicant has filed the request for extension within the 12-month period prior to expiration. The applicant shall comply with the hours of operation allowed to bars and cocktail lounges for the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption on premises pursuant to Section 4.3D of the City Code, and that is between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 a.m. the following day. The applicant shall conduct responsible vendor training pursuant to Florida statutes to ensure that no sales are made to underage customers or to customers who may have been overserved at other establishments. The conditional use approval may be terminated in the event the city manager determines that the approval has created or is creating a disturbance to the community. The applicant agrees to immediately discontinue sales and service of alcoholic beverages upon written notice to the applicant of such determination. And finally, any discontinuation of the sale and service of alcoholic beverages for a period of more than 180 consecutive days shall constitute abandonment and rescind this approval. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to ask the applicant now if they have any comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Heidi Davis with the law firm of Gunster, representing the applicant. We do not have any comments. We agree with staff's conditions and staff report. If you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Do any members of the commission have any questions for this applicant? Good job, Ms. Carr. I'm going to open the item for public comment, and I'm going to request that if members of the public want to come up and state, that they have to come up and state their name and address for the record. Anyone from the public wish to address this item? Okay. I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Ms.
you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, I'm going to ask you to read Resolution B.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, abandoning that portion of Northeast 210th Street, Montclair Way, between Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 30th Avenue in the City of Aventura, as shown on the plat of Hallandale Park Number 11, recorded in Plat Book 27, page 39 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, Florida, providing for recordation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask for a motion for approval of the resolution made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Vice Mayor Mizrahi. I'm going to ask Ms. Carr to please present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record. The applicant, Chabad House of North Dade, Inc., is requesting abandonment of Northeast 210th Street between Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 30th Avenue. The request is made to facilitate development of adjacent parcels on Northeast 210th Street. Staff is recommending approval of the application with conditions. And here's the location plan. It's the portion of Northeast 210th Street between, this is the hospital on the west side. On the east side, Northeast 210th Street runs between Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 30th. There's an aerial that might be a little clearer. This is Biscayne Boulevard. This is the funeral home, One Aventura Executive Center, the Chabad that's under construction on the north side of the street. This is the Aventura Commons shopping plaza. This is Northeast 30th Avenue. And it's the portion in red that's requested to be abandoned. This portion of the street was dedicated as a public street by the plat of Hellendale Park Number 11, recorded in 1925. The portion to be abandoned is approximately 680 feet long and 50 feet wide. It provides access to 3 properties, the Chabad, One Aventura Executive Center, and the funeral home. All owners have consented to this application. The City Commission may vacate, abandon, discontinue, and close any public street through passage of a resolution at a properly noticed public hearing. This application has been properly noticed in accordance with the City Code. If the road is closed, title of the closed road will vest in the abutting owners. And that is by operation of law once the road is closed. In this case, the yellow portion of the road will go to Chabad, the blue to the funeral home, and the green to One Aventura Executive Center. Although the closed road will vest in the title of the abutting owners as shown on this plan, the applicant has advised that the One Aventura Executive Center has agreed to quitclaim its portion to the applicant. So the green portion and the yellow portion will be the portion owned by Chabad if this application is approved. The applicant has agreed to keep the current roadway open to the public for vehicles and pedestrians. Physically, there will be no change to the length or width of the street. The abandonment will allow additional development of the Chabad office building that will be underway soon on the west end of the property. And it will also allow future redevelopment of the funeral home site. The applicant will be responsible to maintain the roadway, the sidewalk, street lighting, and landscaping. This will be confirmed by a recorded restrictive covenant. The applicant will also grant a perpetual easement to the city to confirm that the road will be open to the public, to public travel, and that the city will have access for maintenance to its public utilities in and under the roadway. And the applicant will also convey any necessary easements to FPL, Miami-Dade Water and Sewer, Bell South, any utilities that exist in or under that roadway. The requested abandonment of right-of-way will not impact the roadway level of service or the traffic circulation system. It will remain open as existing now. There are also 3 other signalized intersections in the immediate vicinity between Biscayne and Northeast 30th, and this is 207th, 209th, 213th. The utility easements will be preserved and landscaping will be maintained at the applicant's expense. In its letter of intent, the applicant has proffered a donation of $270,000 towards the Don Sofer Aventura High School, and staff recommends that the City Commission accept the proffer. Staff is recommending approval of this application with the following conditions: that the applicant provide informed satisfactory to the city manager and city attorney and record at its expense in the public records a declaration of restriction confirming that the right-of-way, once abandoned, will continue to be used for private road purposes and will be improved, operated, and maintained by the applicant for that purpose in perpetuity. That the applicant provide informed satisfactory to the city manager and city attorney and record at its expense in the public records an easement in favor of the city of Aventura conveying a non-exclusive perpetual easement in, over, and through the easement property for public vehicular and pedestrian access and for construction, maintenance, repair, and operation of public utilities. That the applicant grant a utility easement for all utilities within the, within the right-of-way. That the applicant provide the recorded quitclaim deed from One Aventura Executive Center, and that the applicant provide to the city the voluntary donation to the Don Sofer Aventura High School as proffered in its letter of intent. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask the applicant if they have any comments.
Good evening and Happy New Year to all of you. My name is Alan Rosenthal with offices at 20900 Northeast 30th Avenue in Aventura. I only have a couple of comments with regard to this project. First, I'd like to, if I may, adopt the wonderful report that your city planning and zoning director has proffered to this board, and say that mine pales in comparison, so it's foolish for me to even try, which is usually the case. There are a couple of things I'd like to say, though, in connection with the documents that have been referenced by Mrs. Carr. The restrictive covenants have been submitted to the city attorney, approved, and copies have been provided, Mrs. Carr, as well as the easement, the quitclaim deed, and a copy of the $270,000 check. The originals I have in my possession, and we'll be happy to provide them as we go and finish this project. The other thing I would like to say is that what Mrs. Carr has not said to you is that she and I and Eric Soroka worked on this project about 4 years ago, at which time we submitted this project with the abandonment. Unfortunately, at that time, due to some circumstances that were not foreseen and beyond the control of the funeral home, they had to withdraw their consent, which required us to drop that project and go forward with the other, which this board approved in May of 2018. Mrs. Carr and I had reviewed the original project, which was even better than this one and is exactly what we've provided now, because the restrictions that are required were less intense with this one than it was for the one you have already improved. I'd like to thank Mrs. Carr for all the time that she has spent working on this project, and if Eric is listening, he as well, because he spent a lot of time, as I did, trying to get it finished, but now it is, and we thank you for your consideration and would request that you approve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. Let me ask if any members of the commission have any questions or comments about this. Commissioner Shelley.
Doesn't matter. In doing this, how many more square feet do they gain for purposes of development by getting this road under your title, so to speak?
They go from 257 to 283.
Okay, so that's the difference. And
The
maintenance.
only portion that we've actually used for this purpose is the portion that was granted to the Chabad. Even though we're getting a deed from One Aventura, we have not used that portion in computing the additional space that we could have done. There are a lot of tax benefits, of course, that the city will get that it does not get now, because the Chabad is totally non-real estate taxpayers. And now with the development of the building and the parking garage, you will be collecting a substantial amount of tax dollars.
Thank you. Joanne, just one quick question. Right now, we own it, correct? So at this point now, it's our responsibility. Now it turns over to the responsibility of the Chabad and the funeral parlor. Is that correct?
That's
And they
correct.
work out an agreement with the city of maintenance, et cetera, but we don't have the tax burden any longer. Is that correct?
We do not have the cost burden of maintaining that public street. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm pretty clear that I heard it the first time, but I just want to make sure everyone in the public has the same information. The public will still be able to use this road,
That's correct, Mayor.
okay? And I do want to thank the rabbi for the generous donation to the high school. And I'd like to explain that the $270,000 is a high number, which in Judaism, it's not tall, high C-H-A-I, it means luck. And we all need a little bit of luck, okay? Any other commissioner have a question? Comment? Anybody, excuse me? Commissioner Weinberg?
Yeah, can someone just explain that, the high on the 270?
Multiple of 18.
It's a multiple of 18, is that the reason? 'Cause
Yeah.
Okay, so I always put something and then an 18 at the end, but this, being that it's going to a high school, you have to do a little math, this makes more sense now, I understand it, and I appreciate the generosity. I just want to make it clear, and correct me if I'm wrong, so this street that we're talking about would be located due south of the current construction,
That's correct.
and the all-important street due north that gets us to our coffee at the gas station is wholly unaffected, correct?
That's a private lane owned by the plaza, yes.
Okay. 'Cause
Totally unaffected.
I think that's vitally, critically important to our residents. Thank you.
Because we need our coffee. Commissioner Mizrahi?
Joanne, so bottom line, the street stays the same, it's gonna look nicer, and we get more taxes.
That's correct.
Okay. I'll make sure that you guys keep it nice.
Okay, I'm going to open this item for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this item? Seeing as there are none, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes,
The motion passes.
thank you so much.
On behalf of the Chabad, I thank you all. They've been through a lot to get to where they are. You know, the old expression of, you come a long way, baby. They've come a long, long way. Thank you all very much.
Does this
And
mean we
thank
all
you
get
for
in the
your
lead?
help. I'm now going to ask the city attorney to read Resolution C.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting conditional use approval to permit the establishment of a limited service hotel in combination with a multifamily residential development in the RMF4 Multifamily High Density Residential District pursuant to Section 31143 F2AF of the City Code for property located at the northwest corner of Northeast 185th Street and Northeast 28th Court, with municipal address 2785 Northeast 185th Street, City of Aventura, and providing for an effective date.
Can I please have a motion for approval of the resolution made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Vice Mayor Marks? Can I ask Ms. Carr to please present the staff report?
Thank you, Mayor. I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record, and I'll just get my exhibits ready here. The applicant, Granite Aventura LLC, is requesting conditional use approval to permit the establishment of a limited-service hotel in combination with a multifamily residential development in the RMF4 multifamily high-density residential district pursuant to Section 31-143F2AF of the City Code on vacant land at the northwest corner of Northeast 185th Street and Northeast 28th Court. And here's an aerial. The property is outlined in red. This is Biscayne Boulevard, Northeast 28th Court. This is Northeast 185th Street, also known as the extension of Miami Gardens Drive. Northeast 187th Street. This is the Walgreens in Pier 1 stores. This is Moe's Bagel Plaza. The applicant has submitted an application for administrative site plan approval to construct a 170-room limited-service hotel in combination with a 204-unit multifamily residential building. The building is 18 stories and 186 feet 6 inches tall, and this is a rendering of the building. There's looking from along Northeast 185th Street from 28th Court. This is the residential portion of the building. This is the hotel portion. The retail accessory, an accessory use is the restaurant for the hotel, will be at the ground floor. This is another rendering looking from Biscayne Boulevard along Northeast 185th. Again, the hotel portion and the residential portion. The parking levels are here. The proposed multifamily residential use is permitted in the RMF4 zoning district. A limited service hotel in combination with a multifamily residential use requires conditional use approval, and that's the application tonight. Section 31-143F2AF of the City Code contains the design criteria for limited service hotel, and those are: it is only permitted on properties where a minimum of two sides share all or part of a common lot line with another lot or parcel that is zoned community business B2 on the city's zoning map. And those two properties are here. This is the vacant site behind Walgreens in Pier 1, Zone B2, and the Moe's Bagel Plaza, also Zone B2. Retail and restaurant uses are permitted as accessory uses, and those are proposed on the ground floor as accessory uses. Not more than 10% of the gross building area shall be devoted to hotel amenities such as dining areas, bars and lounges, and meeting rooms, excluding ground floor retail and restaurant uses. The gross floor area of the hotel shall not exceed 33% of the gross floor area of the residential building, of the building itself. Hotel rooms shall meet the criteria in Section 31-144C1DD, and that's hotel room size. The hotel use and residential use may be located in one building, but the hotel rooms and residential units shall be located in separate vertical blocks. And you can see that they are separated. The hotel is in this vertical block, the residential in this vertical block. The hotel use shall have its own separate driveway entrance and its own separate lobby, and the applicant shall provide transportation demand management strategies to reduce the impact of the development as approved by the city manager and the city's traffic engineering consultant to reduce adverse effects on the overall transportation network. The applicant shall provide any right-of-way improvements appropriate to the subject property. The application that they have submitted for site plan approval does meet all of those criteria in the zoning code. This is the site plan as submitted. The development proposal is for 204 residential units ranging from 805 square feet for efficiency units to 1,200 square feet for two-bedroom units. Residential amenities are on the 6th and top rooftop levels. Hotel units are 320 square feet. Their amenities are also on the 6th and rooftop level, but are separated from the residential amenities as required by the code. There are 4 levels of parking with 562 parking spaces, and that complies with the number required by code. Residential access, the hotel access is by way of Northeast 185th Street. This is the hotel access. Residential access is here on Northeast 28th Court. This parcel is part of a master site plan approved in 2003. The developer constructed the extension, this part, of Miami Gardens Drive between Northeast 27th Avenue and Northeast 28th Court, and this created 3 separate development parcels. The townhouse parcel that's developed on the south now in the synagogue parcel, and this vacant parcel on the north side. As submitted, the site plan complies with the RMF4 district site development criteria and the previous approvals. The maximum height approved in 2003 was 19 stories or 186 feet 6 inches. The proposed building is 18 stories, 1 less, and the same height, 186.6. The maximum permitted floor area is less than the maximum, about 2,000 square feet less than maximum permitted. Traffic impacts of the 205 residential units were addressed at the time of the original approval in 2003. The impact of the additional 170 hotel rooms on the intersections surrounding the development have been calculated in the current traffic study submitted by the applicant and reviewed by the city's traffic engineering consultant. The study shows that the proposed development does meet the roadway level of service standard, and the applicant's traffic engineering consultant will go through the details of that study following staff's presentation. Public notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with Section 3171 of the City Code. Staff has received, prior to a publication of that public notice, several telephone calls from residents related to traffic concerns, and has received yesterday an email from the attorney for the Terzetta Villas, which is directly to the south, stating that they had just been notified of the meeting and had requested deferral for 30 to 60 days. Those are the only public comments received. Staff has evaluated the application using the criteria in Section 3173C for approval of conditional uses and finds that the application does meet those criteria. Staff is therefore recommending approval of the application with the conditions listed in the staff report. And at this time, I will ask the applicant and the applicant's traffic engineering consultant to give you a brief presentation.
Thank you, Joanne. Mayor, members of the Commission, Neeson Kazan, Marissa Amual of Ackerman, representing Granite Aventura, with us here this evening, as well as the developer, Mr. Harry Gross, as well as the project architect, Bernardo Fort Brescia. You'll hear shortly from John Kim, our traffic consultant. The Community Development Director's report was very thorough, and so I will skip through what I would ordinarily make in a presentation. She also covered well the history of this particular site, which was part of an overall larger development approved in 2003, which our particular property always envisioned and was approved for a 19-story building of the same size as now is before you. And as you also are aware, there have been 3 buildings approved for that site. This is a modification of the most recent approval. With that said, I will not go through the criteria for our compliance with the conditional use approval. The The Community Development Director has laid that out well. What I will do is ask John Kim, our traffic consultant with Langen, to come forward and briefly provide you with some information about how the traffic flow will work with respect to this new project. John?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is John Kim. I'm with Langen Engineering and Environmental Services with offices at 150 Northwest 79th Court, Miami Lakes, Florida. I'll try to be brief because I think, as Joanne stated, we meet all the criteria, but just to sort of give you an idea of what we went through to sort of get to that point. I want to start by saying, the three major points we want to make clear is that, number one, what we're proposing versus what was approved before has a very minimal impact with respect to the roadways and intersections that we analyzed, Miami Gardens Drive, Biscayne Boulevard, etc. The second is that in this iteration of the site plan, we deliberately tried to separate, as Joanne had indicated, to have separate access for the residential and the hotel so as to sort of minimize our impacts to Miami Garden, the extension of Miami Gardens Drive. And lastly, and most importantly, is that we analyzed the four intersections that surround the property, the signalized, the major intersections that are directly sort of on the four corners of that lot, and we didn't cause any of those intersections to exceed their level of service. And by that I mean, normally I typically have to, because of the amount of traffic, sort of modify signal timing. In this case, all we did was layer our traffic on top of what was already there, with of course some growth, and all the levels of service are being met as required by both the city and the county. I'm sorry, are we going to go to the slides? There you go. She's my slides. Okay. So again, those are the four intersections we analyzed, 2 on Biscayne and 2 on Northeast 28th Court, and these of course will be the four intersections that bear the most impact of the project. And by the way, what we analyze is morning peak hour and afternoon peak hour, morning being 7 to 9 a.m. more or less, and 4 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon. And sort of, just to give everyone an idea of what it means to have these separate entrances, here I tried to show, in order to enter the hotel, you have to access Miami Gardens Drive, and you have 2 actual driveways that get you into either the valet or parking area. The next slide should be for exiting traffic. And again, everyone has to enter through Miami Gardens Drive to get out. And for the residential, the access is on Northeast 28th Court. So you see how entering, and of course when you see the next slide, exiting traffic, all come through 28th Court. Again, in an effort to sort of minimize our impacts to Miami Gardens Drive. I don't think you need that one. Now, in order to mitigate our impacts for the project, not only did we have a transportation demand management plan, which really, the essence of that is to sort of try to minimize how much traffic we generate. We also were aware of an issue on Miami Gardens Drive extension in that the median opening in the road exists today, and people on the south side of Miami Gardens Drive, when they exit, they have to go east on Miami Gardens Drive and then make a U-turn or attempt to make a U-turn to get to Biscayne, which is where they really want to go. So it became painfully clear that people presently try to do that movement, but there's not enough asphalt on a 4-lane divided road for you to do that. So in our design, as you can see here on the slide, I don't know if I can show it, sorry. But the idea, if you'll just follow me, is that this asphalted area of our project will allow vehicles to make that U-turn without being, impeding traffic flow. Because right now what happens is people make the turn without that sort of apron, and they end up backing, doing a 3 or 5 or more point turn. So we really think that's an important improvement that we're bringing to the table in terms of mitigating our impacts. And, okay, so I've already kind of gone through the slide, but basically, what we think are the benefits of it is, number one, it eliminates the need for those multiple point turns and illegal U-turns, if you will. It does create a more circuitous route for the people that were using that opening without our ability to make that turnaround. And it's better than what's currently there. We know that there's an issue on that road, and we think this will really help things considerably. And then lastly, the Transportation Demand Management Plan. And, the goal here really is to have, the Transportation Demand Management Plan, the goal is really to try and get people to stop getting in their cars, which is kind of a tough thing for us in South Florida. But there are certain things that have been proven to work. For example, one of the strategies is to try and get the employees of the hotel, give them vouchers, if you will, for transit usage, fares, that sort of thing, maybe monthly passes, maybe even give them special parking privileges in the garage, that sort of thing. Other considerations also are going to be pedestrian. We're going to build pedestrian pathways to both the hotel and the residential. We're going to make sure that there's a good path, even off-site adjacent to us on the sidewalks on Miami Gardens and Northeast 28th Court. Make sure those are all sufficient and ADA compliant. And we'll have also a TDM coordinator on site. And the goal will be, since we do have a hotel, people that are unfamiliar with the area, the idea is to have a sort of kiosk or at a minimum an information center so that people will know where to go to find information on alternate routes besides the automobile. So that TDM plan really is, and it's going to be monitored. My understanding is we're going to have to do a report annually. But, I mean, I know that the owner is committed to trying to get, his traffic impacts minimized as much as possible. I think that's pretty much it, unless you have questions now or later. Thank you.
And that concludes our presentation. We're here for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I ask if any member of the commission has any questions or comments? Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks.
I have a question for Joanne. There are two structures. One is a residential structure and one is a hotel. Do they share a parking garage or are there two separate parking garages?
They do share a parking garage.
Okay, so the total number of units, if the hotel is full and if the residential unit is full, is how many total units?
204 and 170, 374.
173?
374.
204 and 374? No.
204 and is the
170.
residential, and
Okay.
170 is the hotel.
Okay. So here's my question, and how many parking spaces will be in that garage?
There are 562. 562.
So in the unlikely event that both are 100% in occupancy, including employees and everything else, where will the overflow park if you cannot park in that garage?
The parking has been designed to comply with city code requirements for the anticipated number of total parking spaces if at capacity.
My question is if they go over capacity, there's some major event that they're having, where will the overflow cars park should that happen? And it's a far-reaching question, but I just want to understand it.
Dr. Marks, address it in two respects. First of all, there is extremely limited accessory uses, so there cannot be major events there. That's one of the conditions of the LDRs and the conditional use. So there cannot be events. The other thing I would also mention, Dr. Marks, is without question across the board, the empirical data shows today that demand for hotel parking is greatly less than one space per space. Cities like, in fact, Surfside is considering this evening going out to one space per 2 hotel units. Miami Beach has gone down to that. People don't drive or rent cars anymore. So the hotel actually is overparked as it is. So between the fact that it's limited service in terms of there won't be major event space, and the fact that the hotel demand for hotel parking is greatly reduced nowadays, there should never be. Frankly, what there probably will be, and I'm seeing this in many, many projects that I handle nowadays, there'll be a large empty parking garage sitting there.
Commissioner Mizrahi.
I have to say that for the past 2 years that we've been studying this project, and I know that John is laughing because we have drilled them over and over, especially me with the traffic reports. They have accommodated with everything that we've asked for. I looked at the impact on the traffic, even though it's written there. I would love to see that it works exactly like you say, but it's going to be 1.6 seconds delay, according to the traffic report. So they have accommodated, they have lowered their sizes, they have changed their whole concept just to accommodate what the city required. So in that sense, thank you so much.
Commissioner Shelley?
I'd like to ask a question to traffic, if I may. And this may just be more for clarification purposes, and it may help the public. When you do your traffic study, what capacity do you base it on?
For the city of Aventura, I believe it's level service E, which is 100% capacity.
So you're basing the impact on the fact that the hotel and the condo, or whatever it's going to be, would be 100% capacity.
Yes, sir.
So based on the norm, Joanne, of what we deal with a hotel, obviously, as you said, very few people have cars. They Uber, they do cabs, whatever the case may be. Is it likely to say that probably based on the fact that much of this is a hotel, it would reduce down the traffic impact pretty much to what it normally would have been under normal conditions if it wasn't given the additional space?
I believe so. And if I may, sir, one other thing I just want to make clear, and I only say this because you asked, and the applicant was very adamant about this. The manual that we use for trip generation, there are only so many hotels that it lists there. Now, the owner, Harry, has pounded me relentlessly saying, I'm not going to generate that much traffic. I'm like, Harry, I understand, but I don't have a rate that I can point and allow your traffic consultant to
And I do understand that. The reason I'm asking is because quite obviously it's almost impossible for a hotel to generate 100% capacity with 100% cars.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is the benefit of the traffic impact, I don't anticipate that, and Dr. Marks raises a good point, that parking nor traffic is going to be impacted very much because of the hotel issue. It's going to be more of the condo, which is going to be there anyhow. So I was just wondering how you based it, whether it was on 100%, but if it is, then it really is based on probably 50% more than you'll ever see.
I agree, and furthermore, what Neeson said was very, very accurate also. We don't have, the rates we're using now don't account for car sharing and all that, so we think it's a highly conservative study.
The other comment I just would like to make, and only because I had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Gross quite coincidentally in New York, the developer, and it was prior to his submission, so there was no impropriety there. One of the things that we were all very impressed with is he is a hands-on owner and he doesn't sell. His family owns them and runs them. And I did have the pleasure of visiting a number of his sites that he did do in the city, New York. And I will tell you the quality, the way it's maintained, the way it's handled is something I think this city is going to be very proud of because it's something we need. We have an eyesore on that empty lot now. And the fact that he's gone so over and above to make this happen, but more importantly, because of what I've seen myself in terms of how he runs things, manages things, and controls them, and the fact that he's not going to buy it and flip it to another property and another chain, and then God knows what's going to happen at that point. So I think that's a very big benefit to this city that he will be an owner, representative, and maintain it for his family.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Landman.
We've been dealing with this project for quite a while now, and I'm happy to see two of the things. I want to thank the applicant for the separation of the entrances. I think that's really going to help with traffic. I think having residential on one side and the hotel on the other is going to be, it's going to make it a lot easier for people to enter and exit. And I was very happy to see the U-turn, the improvement on the street, because you do see the cars turning, stopping traffic, trying to make that U-turn. So I think those are going to be two big things to help with congestion. So thank you for listening to us and coming up with a solution.
Commissioner Narodsky.
I just wanted to ask from the applicant, do we know which hotel is going to be proposed there?
probably a Marriott boutique brand. And if you've seen his properties in New York, they include the Marriott boutique brands.
This is a Marriott city.
Any? Howard? Yeah. Commissioner Weinberg.
I just want to reiterate something I've said during the course of negotiations and discussions regarding this project. It would be really nice if the applicant would donate this land to the city for a park. That would be my number one priority, as an open space. I imagine it's not going to happen, and that's what I want the residents to understand, that it's not like we can wave a magic wand and say, no, it's better that that's a park, because we don't want any more traffic there, and we want more open space. The reality of it is there are certain development rights. Whoever owns that parcel is allowed to build on it, and they are going to build on it. And what we can do as a commission is to try to arm twist and to try to negotiate and to try to get the best possible project there, because something is going to go there. And if we overplay our hand, we end up with a developer that decides to build what they're allowed to build without our permission. And then it's a horrible project. So what was approved there in the past was a horrible project. It could have been built, and that wouldn't have been good. So I think what we've done here is worked with the developer, with the applicant, and we've gotten a much, much, much better project for the residents of Aventura, not to mention a donation to our new charter high school. But we are lucky when a developer is willing to work with us because, as I said, Aventura was incorporated subject to the existing building rights when it was part of unincorporated Dade County. And so we do our best to get the best possible projects, but we can't turn everything into a park. So I thank everyone for working diligently to make this the best possible solution.
I think that I just want to say that that property knocks it out of the park. You told me you wanted it to be iconic, and it certainly is iconic. So everyone can know this piece of property has been discussed by the commission prior to us for 16 years, since 2003. And this far exceeds any other project brought to us. And I think that both what Commissioner Shelley and Commissioner Weinberg said, it's important in this community. We're a small community. We're 3 square miles. We want people that have a vested interest in the quality of life and our residents in this community. And I truly believe that the developer, Mr. Gross, is going to be one of those residents. He already spends a good portion of the year here, and I think we're going to hear much more about his involvement in our community in the future. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment? Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks.
Just one last comment regarding arm twisting, Commissioner Weinberg. I honestly don't feel that there was arm twisting as much as there was sincere concern on the part of the commission to honestly make sure that the development was the best that it could be. And I think that with the developer and his people and the commission's concern that we've gotten that now. And I want to thank both the commission and the developer for working hand in hand to really create a very good project.
Thank you. With
I withdraw my use of the term arm twisting.
Thank you. Thank you. So please, City Clerk, reflect that in the record. That statement was withdrawn. I'm going to open this for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address this item? Please come up, state your name and address for the record. No, please come up. Does she have to be sworn in? Does she have to be sworn in? Have you been sworn in? Did you stand up when we swore everybody in?
No.
Then you must be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, please state your name and your address.
Hello,
everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Galina Seleznev, and I reside in Alakwa Condo, which is 3001 Northeast 185th Street. So I'm basically on the same street. So the major concern, obviously, is traffic and how it's going to impact us. For example, we just been through holidays, where the amount of people coming to our beautiful city to shop at the mall and just have a good time, it probably doubles. So during the holidays, it's really hard to say in the morning, we need to drive our children to school. This is when construction workers are going to arrive. So where they're going to park, how is it going to be? Well, I understand that it was a lot of effort and time put into the traffic study, so this is why it was conducted. But I just would like to know specifically how they would like to deal with everything when the construction period is going to take place. Also, my second question is how long the project will take to build.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that you leave your name with Ms. Carr, and Ms. Carr will get back to you and provide all the answers you have and more.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because it might be difficult tonight.
All right.
Anyone else from the public that wishes to speak? Were you sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Alonzo. I'm an attorney with Stevens and Goldwyn, PA. I'm here on behalf of Terzetto Villas Homeowners Association and Terzetto Master Association as well. So the two communities that I happen to represent are actually located within the immediate vicinity of the development. I think at this point, and you heard this during the initial presentation, our firm had sent an email yesterday respectfully requesting some form of continuance to give our firm and the communities that we represent an opportunity to review the proposals, the traffic study that has been submitted, that has partially been discussed here today. The reason being, these are constituents of the city of Aventura that are here presently, that love their community, that want to have an opportunity to look into this matter thoroughly, because they are going to be at ground zero of how this traffic study comes into light, how it will affect day-to-day life within this community. They want to have the opportunity to be heard in order to assure that their concerns are addressed. Now, I think there have been certain questions that have been reiterated here by the Vice Mayor, actually, Dr. Marks. She actually inquired in terms of what the parking situation was going to be like, max capacity. Now, I can tell you, irrespective of the statements that have been made here today, as an attorney that primarily represents condominiums and homeowners associations, parking is always an issue within any development, especially when you're talking about an association that essentially the residents that are going to reside in this development once completed is going to be substantially greater than the number of residents that presently occupy the surrounding community. It certainly is a larger figure than those that live within Terzetto. So we do feel that there is going to be a substantial impact as it relates to traffic. We want to make sure that we have the opportunity to be part of this process. We understand that this development is going to happen. We are not trying to stand in the way of progress, but we do believe that progress has to happen in a responsible and prudent manner while taking into account the effect that it's going to have on the residents that occupy the surrounding area. So we do believe there's traffic issues that need to be addressed. Additionally, as it relates to the development of any type of area, there are going to be issues related to the construction, such as debris removal, potential damages that could be sustained by the neighboring associations as a result of this construction. And we just simply feel that it would be appropriate and prudent for some form of a continuance to be given so that the association and its council has the opportunity to thoroughly vet this information in order to have its own issues bear into light. Now, prior to the commencement of this hearing and proceedings, I did have the opportunity to briefly speak to the attorney for the developer. He was very accommodating in terms of that he would like to hear from the association. However, he would not stand in favor of the continuance. We just don't want our input to be heard after the fact. We want to have an opportunity to chime in prior to this vote taking place.
The 3 minutes is up, so I'll give you a few seconds to wrap it up.
Simply put, all I'm trying to say is this was something that was brought to the forefront of our attention yesterday. We do see that there is going to be a substantial effect, potentially on the quality of life of the residents of the communities that we represent, and we simply want them to have a voice that can be heard throughout this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission? Please come up. Did you stand up? All right, then you have to be sworn in now.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
I think it's a beautiful building, and it's a...
Would you state your name and your
Erin
address, please?
Ferreira, 2811 Northeast 185th Street. So my window looks over the vacant lot. It's horrible, but I guess it was last year when all the construction people parked there, and it would take me an hour to go a block. So my concern is mostly the construction traffic, because it would take an hour to leave a venti. It's not even a block. What is it, like a half block? When all the construction workers would leave, just an hour just to leave like a half a block. So my concern is how is the construction going to? I know.
And again, I'm going to tell you this because you can't see, but from where I'm sitting, Mrs. Carr's pen has not stopped taking notes. I think I can say to everyone, this isn't the first project that will be in Aventura, and our streets are what our streets are. And to her credit and to all the people that work in the department, the mitigation is as good as we can do. And I would also say, because these are kind of technical questions for tonight, she's available almost, I won't say 24/7, but 12/7, and it's not a one-time. Okay, it's not a one-time. You won't get, this is it, and she'll dismiss you. She will continue to work with the committee, with your community, with your condo boards. She will continue to work with it during the course of this project. And I hope that what you heard, we've been dealing with this for better than 2 years, but this property has been dealt with for over 16 years. And construction's not easy. No matter where it is, and it's great when it's over, and it does bring some value. But I hope that you heard that this is a developer that is not in for a day. And that's why I'm saying I feel with all confidence that Ms. Carr will be able to work with your community and whatever the homeowners associations is and make sure that everyone feels comfortable.
Okay.
Anyone else from the community? Please come up and state your name. Did you get sworn in? Okay, then please, when you come up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Good evening. I have to be sworn in.
Oh, you haven't, okay.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
My name is Yvonne Lagramato. I live at the Atrium at 188th Street. And just one question. Who was the name of the developer? That's all I want to know. And what the developer's name is, Mr. Gross, but...
It's, 1 second, please, Mr. Mr. Kasdan, is it Granite?
It's Granite Aventura, and the principal is Harry Gross.
Harry Gross. Okay, thank you so much. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Okay, I'm going to close the item for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky?
No.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is ordinances. We have none for first reading tonight. On our ordinances for second reading, I'm going to ask the city attorney to please read the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending ordinance number 2017-10, which ordinance adopted a budget for the 2017-2018 fiscal year by revising the 2017-2018 fiscal year operating and capital budget as outlined in Exhibit A attached hereto, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to carry out the aims of this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of the ordinance? Motion made by Commissioner Narodsky. Can I have a second, please? Seconded by Commissioner Shelley. Do any members, this is second reading, so I'm going to ask very briefly, do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? All right, then I'm going to open this up to the public. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions or comments concerning this item? I'm going to close the item for public comment and ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes on second and final reading.
Thank you so much. There are no resolutions for tonight. Do any of the commissioners have any items they wish to report on? Commissioner Shelley.
It's not a report, but I just would like to welcome Ron Wasson, our new city manager. This is his first meeting. And Joanne, I know, looks very relaxed and very eased now that she's no longer filling it in. But Ron, we'd like to welcome you and wish you all the luck in the world.
Okay, and I would like to say, please.
Brilliant job tonight.
And I would like to say, if you haven't already done so, please drive down 213th Street and take a look at the most spectacular new high school anywhere in the state of Florida. Take a drive by and take a look at it. It really is very exciting for us. Commissioner Mizrahi.
I just want to end on a note, and I want to wish everybody a very successful 2019. Just plan, share, respect, and unite.
Commissioner Landman.
Yes. Happy New Year, everyone. I want to make sure that everybody is aware that we're going to be offering a women's self-defense course. The City of Aventura Police Department it's free, open to the public, women age 18 and over. It'll be in February, and you can sign up. You can go online and find out more about it, but it's a great opportunity for women in our community.
Thank you. Any? No. Okay. Then I'm going to ask for a motion for adjournment made by Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me then open the meeting for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to talk to the commission? Cindy, you're going to have to state your name and address for the record.
Cindy Orlinsky, 20051 Northeast 37th Court. I'm with Stacy Levy.
Stacy Levy, 1051 Northeast 93rd Street in Miami Shores.
So we come together to announce the walkathon and 5K called the Ellie's Army Dirty Socks 5K Walkathon here in Aventura on January 20th. We wanted to let you know what it's about. This is my very close friend, Stacy Levy, who lost her daughter about 4 years ago to cystic fibrosis. And because of that and during that, she started a foundation that supports terminally ill children and their families for medications or losing their homes or getting back and forth to treatments. Stacy has supported with hundreds of thousands of dollars their families, and Scott, my husband, and I have joined this year for the first time. We're chairing the event here in Aventura, which we're thankful for. Kimberly Merchant was wonderful in getting us approved and going. And the city has been behind us. All the businesses and people and families in the community have come together. And the City Bikes and Lululemon and Runners Depot and all of these different wonderful businesses are supporting. And we hope that you guys will come out and walk or run if you want. It's a timed race. It's an actual timed race with pros that are joining us as well to support the cause. So I wanted to turn it over to Stacy so she can tell a little bit about the foundation and hope that you guys will all join us out there.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to come to speak with you today. So the name of our foundation is Ellie's Army Foundation. As Cindy said, it was named after my daughter Ellie, who passed away 4 years ago from cystic fibrosis. She was 23 at the time. Can't believe that I could have a 27-year-old. So we actually started our foundation in 2001. It was called the Reach for the Stars Foundation. We did a lot of stuff here in Aventura. We started with Jay Fiedler, who was the quarterback of the Dolphins at the time. He's on our board. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the foundation, we found throughout our time with Ellie and all of her hospitalizations and just meeting families, throughout our time with her, that a lot of families really struggle because of exorbitant medical expenses. A lot of them lose work. They're not able to get to work. It's just enormous expenses that we found that a lot of these families are not able to pay for their living expenses, like their mortgage, their electric bill, their cars. They are also not able to pay for therapies that aren't covered. It really is devastating to families who have children that are dealing with life-threatening illnesses, on top of all the emotional stuff that they have to deal with. And so that's why we started this foundation. The walkathon is going to be, it's called the Dirty Socks Walk. The reason why it's named the Dirty Socks Walkathon is because at the end of my daughter's life, she had 2 double lung transplants within 2 months. And the doctor told her that if she wanted to survive, she would have to walk. And he asked her for dirty socks. And that would show that she was getting her walking in. So now we're doing it in that honor for children who have to walk to get well. We are walking for them. We're walking for their families. We're walking for Ellie. So anyway, I just would really like to ask you for your support. I would love it if you came out and, let's raise a lot of money to help these families and children so that they have the best chance to survive.
And we're so sorry for what you've gone through. Cindy, thank you for bringing this to us. And thank you for the good work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll get it distributed.
Can you just say where exactly will be the starting line?
So it starts at the Aventura Library, and it goes towards the loop, the Aventura. You make a right towards the loop, around the circle, and you end up back at the library.
What time?
It starts at 8 a.m., the race. The runners start at 8. The walkers will start about 8:15. There'll be food trucks at the end. There'll be kids' activities. Jay Fiedler will be there. Bernie from the Miami Heat will be there. There'll be a DJ. There'll be Zumba. At the end of the race, there'll be a lot of vendors there that are supporting the cause and then also introducing their products. So should be like a little village of things going on.
Wonderful.
January 20th, if I didn't say.
Cindy, is there, if somebody
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please, we still follow Robert's Rules of Order, Commissioner, so if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, I want to make sure this is public time.
Yes.
Anything else that you're saying to us?
Oh, no.
Okay. Commissioner Shelley.
Yeah, if people aren't going to be walking, but they want to make a donation, how do they go about doing that?
They can go to elliesarmy.org, and as soon as you get on there, it says the race, but there's also a donation button. It's an ongoing thing.
Thank you.
Commissioner Weinberg.
Now that I have the flyer, just so it's Ellies, ELLIES, Army.org, and it's at the library January 20th, and registration begins at 7 a.m.
Right, but you can, once you pre-register, when you register, you'll see online that you do a packet pickup, which you get a bag and a T-shirt and socks and a whole bunch of stuff, will be at City Bikes. So you'll be able to pick up Friday and Saturday or the day of, whatever's convenient.
Looks like you thought of everything.
We try.
Yeah.
We hope it's fun.
Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks.
Stacy, I admire the strength that you have to take something so challenging and to turn it around to help other people. You're absolutely to be commended. Cindy, the fact that you are picking up on this and helping and doing something for others is absolutely amazing. And I absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, I'm just touched by what you have done, because you've gone through a terrible tragedy and you've turned this into something beautiful for others, and they should be very appreciative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Is there anyone else that would like to talk to the commission? All right. Pardon? No? All right, pardon me. I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Made by Commissioner Narodsky, seconded by Commissioner Landman. Any opposed? The meeting is officially adjourned.